Hi there everyone, my name is April, and this is my first YouTube video, so bear with me here. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm an ex-Jehovah's Witness. I have been for 12 years. I was disfellowshipped at the age of 18 after having been baptized at the age of 10, which in my opinion, and many other people's opinions, is far too young for such a decision, especially in an organization like the Jehovah's Witnesses, where the repercussions for growing up and realizing that you don't believe the teachings of the Jehovah's Witnesses anymore, or that you realize you never really knew what they were because you were too young to understand, will result in being shunned by your family and friends, everything you ever knew. I was literally on the street by myself with no friends because I wasn't allowed to have friends outside of the organization while I was in. My parents shunned me, so it was a very difficult time. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. I actually, a little over a month ago, started a website, a support website for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses at www.jwsupportforum.com with the help of my husband, who was never a Jehovah's Witness, but realizes that people like me that are going through being shunned by their family and friends and trying to start a life outside of the organization, we need the support from others who understand our situation. And also, other people who are still in, I think, need to be informed about some of the things that they're involved in. And it's very hard when you're in something like that, dare I say religion, more cult, actually. When you're in one, you don't realize you are. And so that's another one of my goals, is to educate people, both those that are in the organization and also the general public, about what a dangerous cult the Jehovah's Witnesses actually are. And I blame that on, obviously, the governing body, the 12 men that run the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, that oversee everything that goes on in the organization. So I have nothing against Jehovah's Witnesses themselves. I want to make that very clear. Other than the fact that I believe that they're mind controlled and don't realize what's really going on around them. But as I said, I started a website, and I'm not sure if I said what it was or not. But it's www.jwsupportforum.com, and now I remember saying it. And on there, I've met a lot of people that have, unique stories, but also very similar stories, and it's very unfortunate what they've been forced to go through. One in particular wrote an email that was for current Jehovah's Witnesses, I imagine family and friends he wished to send it to, as well as for others to use to spread the word about how he felt about the organization and how it affected him and how it affects many of us. And I asked him if I could share his thoughts, his email on YouTube, and he said that was all right. So this, I'm actually going to read it off the computer, so forgive me for not looking at the camera. This is from The Oracle, which is a member on JW Support Forum, JWS, and he's entitled "A Question for a Jehovah's Witness." Do you honestly think a loving God would kill over 6 billion people and spare over only 6 million because they wouldn't serve him? Would your conscience allow you to do that if you were the all-powerful creator? If you wouldn't have the heart to kill all those people, old men and women, babies and young children, do you honestly think a loving God would? Don't think of people as worthless trash that can be exterminated in a moment. Think of your kind neighbor. Think of that helpful, kind old man or woman you see in the park every once in a while feeding the pigeons. Would you put your hands around their necks and squeeze the life out of them because they wouldn't recognize you as the supreme being? Because they didn't follow the teachings of the Watchtower? And would you also make sure that they knew your name and why you were killing them just before they took their last breath, even the young children? If you wouldn't do such a horrible and violent thing, do you really think a loving God would? I am a kind person who has discovered something horrible about the religion I had dedicated my life to. Now I am doing the only thing a person of true integrity can choose to do. Reach out and help others to leave an organization that does much more harm than good. Please research in the Society's publications only the teachings on organ transplants, blood transfusions, Beth Sarin, teachings about 1914, the Great Pyramid, 1915, and 1925. Consider what the organization was teaching when Jesus came to inspect the temple in 1918 and decided that this organization was worthy of being appointed the faithful and discreet slave class. Look up what was taught about the faithful slave, not class. That came later under Judge Rutherford. Do all this research using our own publications and tell me what you conclude. Please have an open mind, and please be completely honest with yourself. It is not easy to do, given our years of training, to never question the Watchtower interpretations of Scripture. But please consider this. Up until, I believe, around 1989, the masthead in the Awake emphasized the central teaching that the generation that saw these things start to occur in 1914 would not pass away until Armageddon and the new system arrived. To change something in the masthead is a pretty major shift, wouldn't you say? If you had been going to the Kingdom Hall for 15 years or more, you probably emphasized that in your sermons or presentations at the doors, time and time again for many years. I know, I did. What is in the masthead of the Watchtower now? What if that changed next month? We were no longer hoping in God's kingdom. Would you begin to wonder if there are any other current teachings that might change? This is a message of love. This message is reaching out to honest-hearted ones who have a feeling that something is not quite right. Something does not add up. Could it be that you aren't that lucky person who just happened to be born into the only true religion? Maybe one day when the evidence becomes so overwhelming that you yourself decide to leave, you will remember this message. This attempt to reach out to another human being and to truly help them, to help you, to help free you from a dangerous organization that does not teach the real truth. It actually divides families, and in some cases ruins families, causes suicides. A close friend of mine lost his depressed daughter to suicide. She did not fit in at school. I know it was because of the truth, and it rips my heart out to this day. Widespread depression puts lives at risk and has killed people over the years for withholding medical treatments, organ transplants up to a few years ago, and no blood transfusions and no hemoglobin, red blood cell fraction, up until a couple of years ago as well. Would freedom from all of that interest you? Or do you think that it is good that all those people died, faithful to Watchtower interpretation of the moment, thinking that organ transplants were evil and cannibalistic, or that vaccinations were from the devil? Oops, the Watchtower was wrong. Does that mean that Jehovah was wrong, and that those people died needlessly? What does it mean then? Please think about it. I have no ulterior motive except to help another person. I have nothing to gain financially by taking the time to help you. No pat on the back from anyone looking at a report card of my activity. Nothing to gain at all, except to satisfy my God-given conscience that I am doing the right thing. And then he goes on to tell a few good sites to check out. There are hundreds, if not thousands of them, and new ones popping up every day that he pasted below, and I'm actually not going to read those, but